So let's power things up with Cheryl Boglioli.
Hi.
Hi, Cheryl. So you have brought some cool ideas for stenciling.
I think so.
I know, and we're starting right with this pillow, which I think is absolutely beautiful.
It was easy to do as well.
Well, that's what I love to hear.
I know.
So let's go ahead. So what are you starting with? What's actually under your stencil?
I have a pillow form under here, just a little pillow case actually. And then because it is a pillow form that we have the seam on the background, I want to be able to stencil on top of this without this causing a ridge in my paint.
Oh.
So I put a stiff piece of
cardboard or something?
Interfacing. You could use cardboard. It's really stiff
interfacing. Sounds really fancy. That's like a sewing thing. So
Yeah.
you could use cardboard and interfacing,
cardboard,
whatever
just
you
something,
have.
Yeah, anything that's just good and stiff so that you have a solid surface here to stencil on. So we're going to use our stencil. We're going to place our stencil on top. And then we're going to use our little power tool, our turn-on tool. And I like this one because it has different attachments. So we're going to start off with a brush attachment.
I know.
This works really great.
It looks like we're going to polish our shoes.
Or scrub our face, a little facial, right. So, but instead we're going to paint with it. So we're going to paint through the stencil. So I have a few paints here with me as well.
So you're just using any kind of acrylic paint, that's fine. It doesn't need to be heavy-bodied fluid, anything like that?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Of course, if you're using a heavier body paint, you know, it might be able to seep through the edges a little bit more just because this is not a flat, smooth surface.
Okay.
And I do heat set it. Before I start washing it, and that way I know that it's pretty safe there. I haven't had it work.
So let's get to the coloring.
Yeah, so let's add some colors here. And we'll just start off with a little color on this side.
Now, just so people know, you're actually putting this onto a sheet of acetate, which is a great little way to do a paint palette, and that could actually be, I like to save, take out food containers or lids from things. They make great little disposable paint palettes.
Anything, yes. And you don't want to get a lot of paint in here.
Is that going to spray everywhere?
It's not, because I'm just going to kind of dab in here a little bit and get some paint on here to start with. And then to mix it, I'm going to just mix it on the edge here.
So that's just a heavy piece of paper.
Yes, just really good heavy cardstock or cardboard, something to make it real heavy. And that way we don't have this huge glob of paint and then touch it right to our fabric and get paint all over the place.
I see, okay. And you can of course use that over and over and over again and then maybe incorporate it into a piece of art later.
You could, maybe, right? So this one has a couple different settings. I'm going to turn it up on high and we're just going to start here in the center and just start adding. And if we feel like we need more paint, we can pick some more up.
Just go back into your palette. Very cool.
Right.
Well, this is super easy to do, and it looks like it would be great to do. Now, I notice you're not securing this with anything. You're just using your hand.
Because I'm lazy, and I want to make this easy. So you could use a repositionable adhesive and spray underneath the stencil and then hold it down. But
now, what do you do when you want to change colors and you have all the red on there?
Well, you could get different attachments and change attachments, but again, because I'm lazy, I'm just going to
wipe it off.
Wipe it off.
It's fine. I like that. I like that.
And I'm actually okay if this starts blending a little bit. So I'll just go right into the yellow.
Okay.
Now I'm going to get more of an orange. I'm not going to get that really bright yellow at this point. And just kind of.
But you know, I like it when the colors blend because I always think then the transitions are much softer and nicer, and you can sort of like just keep pulling the color out.
Exactly.
Which is a super cool idea.
So now that we've lightened it with the orange and kind of taken some of that off, now maybe we can get a little bit more yellow.
Get some yellow in there. Now, the other nice thing is if you know your color mixing right, you've chosen to mix red with yellow because you know it's going to create a pretty color. And actually, if I look at the three colors you've chosen, you're using a red, a yellow, and a blue. Those are your three primary colors. And that's great because it means that they're always going to look good together.
Good.
May I peek at this and see what it looks like?
So that gives you a little peek. Ta-da! Isn't that great?
That's super cool. But you actually brought another idea, which I love. Lots of ideas.
So we could still use the paint that we have and get some of this color out of it really quick. This will probably make a greenish color now. And you can just use this. You don't have to use it with a stencil. You can just use this as a painting tool. Yes, and we can just kind of paint on top of it.
And get that nice color going.
Right. So
now, Cheryl, could you put the paint directly on here and then smush it around with the tool?
Sure, because now we're not stenciling.
Ah,
so absolutely.
Cool. That's a neat way to do it too.
And this way it'll go a little quicker. So you could take your time if you wanted and make sure that you got all the edges and got a nice even coat of paint. But we're going to move this along a little bit.
But we're gonna switch to the other attachments, right?
Yes.
That has me super excited.
So now we're gonna add another attachment to it.
So we used a brush attachment, now we're switching to foam.
We're switching to a foam because now we're gonna add some ink. So we're just gonna ink this up, and hopefully that's dry enough that we're gonna kind of get by here. And you can just ink right on top, and it's not gonna be dry enough.
I'll hold this still for you. It's moving, it's chasing it around. But you
So you
know,
could
of
keep
course, when
working.
it's completely dry, it'll be a little bit easier to work with, obviously. But we can go ahead and pull it
So you
away,
can
and
see
you
how
can
it's
still
starting to
see
show.
that you have that nice little shadow look.
But we could
which I think
also
is really
take
cool.
and use the ink to ink the edges.
Wow, that's fast and easy.
And I'm not getting my hands all dirty, except
is
for where I'm
nice.
touching it. Right. Isn't that fun? So
you have one last tip before we go.
So we can also put on the sanding tip as well. And the sanding tip is a really great one that'll come in
Now
here.
I can see how it creates that distressed edge right there where you've been, and of course you could bring it back over the blue paint to distress it. Lots of fun ways to use an easy tool to help you out.
Right.
Awesome.